I call him, I said, Doc, I said, this guy says I have kidney cancer. He wants to take my kidney out. He said, okay, let me get you a second opinion. And it's always good to get a second opinion. He introduced me to Dr. DeCastro up at Columbia Presbyterian. And I'll tell you, Harvard doctors, 50 to 70-year-old doctors, are the best doctors in the world. You can argue with it, but that's the way it is. If they're younger, they might not necessarily be the best doctors in the world.
Behind the practice.
Welcome back to Behind the Practice. I'm Katie Brinkley, and today I am joined by John Hyland. John, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode.
Thanks for having me.
Well, before we hit record here, you blew my mind a little bit. How many magazines are you releasing per month?
We do approximately 20 covers a month, 140 articles.
So if you haven't heard of Top Doctor Magazine, that is John's publication. John, I'm so grateful for you to have you on the show today, because today's episode is going to be a little bit different, because most of the time we're talking about practitioners, clinicians, why they got into what they do, but you're helping get their message out there. So let's talk a little bit about your why. What made you decide that you wanted to start this magazine?
Well, we actually started teaching doctors how to speak. I have a company called Speaking Empire. We've taught 3 sharks on Shark Tank how to speak, 80,000 people. And we notice when doctors speak, it's like watching chalk dry on a chalkboard.
It's a little boring, yeah.
And from that, we got into book writing. And if you've ever interviewed a doctor for more than 14 hours, you just want to, do bad things. So I had to change. And writing books, it's like its own business when you do SEO, especially now with ChatGPT. So
Yep.
Every book is its own business. And I appreciate the doctors that want to write a book and get their word out. But in 42 minutes, I can have one of my professional journalists like you interview them and get their story and tell better than they ever will and get it out to millions of people.
And that's what's really helping the algorithms nowadays. Having a book is great, but if you can get that story out faster and get it into the hands of today's top doctors and clinicians, that's what is going to be helping you help get found on the internet, right?
Right, and especially when you use the marketing term, which is called DOCEP. And DOCEP with ChatGPT and Google, it stands for Direct Organic Search Engine Optimization. So you have to have the print, you have to have video, which you're doing really good at, right? And then if you can, a couple TV stations in between, what makes us work and why our authority score is so high. It's gotten as high as 80, which is really good. WebMD is the biggest medical journal in the world. Their authority score is 92. And only Google has a higher authority score, right? Because they've done 5 million articles. So I'm trying to catch up to them. But
you're on pace, 140 articles.
Yeah, so what happens with DOCEP is I'll have Lippy Roy over in New York. I'll have Dr. Bill Dorfman in L.A., we'll have Dr. Oz or Bobby Kennedy, for instance. And Google looks at that, and it's like a spider web, and they see them popping up everywhere. And then if they get on TV or online, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube are the big ones for our industry, right? Mm-hmm. Doctors, if you want to hit the 50 to 70-year-old market, you have to be on YouTube.
Everybody needs to be on YouTube. Google owns YouTube.
Yeah.
You have to be on YouTube.
And we've only had 150 million views in the last 9 months on YouTube and Instagram.
Only.
Yeah, so my job is to get our doctors to 1 billion.
That's amazing.
That's what I'm trying to do.
So what makes Top Doctor Magazine different than other publications?
That's a great question. We've never done a negative article. We're saving that for Fauci. And I say that jokingly, but I'm telling the truth. And we're here to tell our patients about the greatest doctors in the world, which we have them.
How do you choose? How do you choose which doctors to feature and what stories get featured?
It's a great question. There's 1.3 million doctors approximately in the U.S. right now. About 300,000 are in some sort of retirement. So we have 600,000 doctors in our network, and we have a contest, and we have their patients choose. So if the patient chooses you and nominates you for a top doctor, that's what helps.
It's a lot of responsibility that you hold by having one of the top publications out there for physicians. What type of responsibility comes with that? Because people are looking to you as the trusted expert.
Right. When people know, like, and trust you is when they buy from you, or in this case, buy your ideas from you. So when you're looking for a doctor, like my friends call me if they need a doctor because I know the best doctors in the world. Can I give you a personal story?
Yeah, let's hear it.
A couple of them. I found a lump on my kidney 3.5 years ago. I went to my local doctor in Virginia, never met the man before in my life. He sits down across from the desk from me and says, "You have kidney cancer. We're going to take your kidney out next week." Never told me his name, never asked me my name, never asked me how I was doing. That was the conversation I had. And I went out there bewildered. Kidney cancer is not something not serious.
Yeah.
And so I called my friend John Salerno. He's one of the best doctors. He trains all the Yale regenerative medicine doctors. So he's good if he's training the doctors. I call him. I said, "Doc," I said, "this guy says I have kidney cancer. He wants to take my kidney out." He said, "Okay, let me get you a second opinion." And it's always good to get a second opinion. Okay. And he introduced me to Dr. DeCastro up at Columbia Presbyterian. And I'll tell you, Harvard doctors, 50 to 70-year-old doctors, are the best doctors in the world. You can argue with it, but that's the way it is. If they're younger, they might not necessarily be the best doctors in the world. This guy was a Harvard-trained doctor with a Columbia undergrad. So he's the best of the best, Dr. DeCastro in Columbia Presbyterian. And he said, "John, if you came into my office and you had a lump on your foot, and I said, 'John, we got to chop off your leg,' what would you think of me?" I said, "I think you're goofy." He said, "This doctor's goofy." And so we looked at it, and after further consultation, it's been 3.5 years. I don't have cancer. That might have been with me my whole life. We don't know. We watch it. We get an MRI every year. And that's the importance of what we do at Top Doctor Magazine.
How important it is to be your own best advocate, especially when it comes to health. With Top Doctor Magazine, what you're doing is you're producing a lot of information every month because information moves fast. How are you ensuring that all this information that you're pushing out there is credible?
Yeah, that's a great point. I go back to when we really, really worried about that was right before COVID. My mom swam every day. She worked out. She ate perfectly healthy. She was as healthy as you can be as a 72-year-old. And unfortunately, she laid down for a nap and had a heart attack and died. And I'm like, if that can happen to my mom who takes perfectly good care of herself, what's happened to other people's moms, right? Mm-hmm. And so I went on a mission to find out how can I keep my heart going well and how can I help people get the best health they can.
And I think that one of the things we've learned is that there is no one size fits all. And having a resource that people can go to continue learning, never stop learning. And there's people out there that are contributing to the Top Doctor Magazine week after week and providing these insights of their findings.
Yeah, when I will tell you, there is a one size fits all for a couple things. And one is when you wake up in the morning, drink 16 ounces of water. It cuts stroke 40%. Can you imagine that? Cutting your chance of stroke 40% just by getting up in the morning. Oh, and by the way, not cold water, just lukewarm water. 16 ounces, do it the first thing when you wake up. Second thing is do your 4-7-8 breathing. That's 4 seconds in, 7 seconds hold, and 8 seconds out. Do it 10 times a day. That cuts your heart attack risk big time. And then floss.
Yeah.
That's it. It's so easy. The 3 things that you can do to help yourself, that's universal. It can help anybody, and that's how we start.
One of the things that you mentioned earlier that we kind of just skimmed over was the fact that it can be hard to listen to doctors, and it can be hard just to read a book, a medical book. It can get a little boring. So how are you ensuring that this information that is produced by doctors and researched by doctors is being communicated effectively week after week so that the public can understand it and learn?
We have some of the best writers in America when it comes to medical, and we've interviewed so many doctors, so many nutraceutical companies, pharmaceutical companies, machine companies, and we do have a philosophy at Top Doctor Magazine. We don't say take the pill first. In fact, it probably should be the last thing that you do. The first thing I like to do is tell people eat correctly. Food is medicine. And I'm not the first guy that said that. There was some Greek philosopher way far long ago that said that, right? Food is medicine. And then the next thing, go to supplements, right? And then maybe thirdly, go to a machine, a red light or a hyperbaric oxygen chamber or a nitric oxide machine. Something really good that will clean your blood. And then finally, pharmaceutical. Listen, if you get malaria, you better take the medicine, because it multiplies so fast, right? I don't know any nutraceuticals that will stop malaria, but for most other things, you could give it a good college trying natural stuff.
One of the things that Top Doctor Magazine does is help build brand authority for
Correct.
these doctors. So let's talk a little bit about how important that is for doctors today to have that brand authority out in today's digital world.
Yeah, I was told by Steve Forbes that one person could lead you to 20,000 people, and this is why you got to do podcasts. You have to do social media, and you have to do some kind of written word. And so the way we build authority is we start locally. I can make any doctor in about 2 months famous where he can't walk down the street without everybody knowing who he is or who she is, right? And then you want to go regionally, and then you want to go to the earth. If you have a good idea and you're going to help people, go to the earth, and we'll help you get there. And we use Instagram. We use our magazine print. Print still works. We print about 300,000 magazines a year. Remember, the old-fashioned ways still work, but you have to have the high-tech SEO and different things like that.
How important is personal branding for physicians?
I think it's most important. It's not the best doctors that have the best patients. It's the best marketed doctors. You know Dr. Oz, Dr. Drew, Dr. Lippy Roy, you know Dr. Bill Dorfman that started Zoom whitening. You know those guys because of marketing. The skin deep guys, right? The pimple popper, you know them, right? But they're great doctors, but they're not the best doctors, right? They're just best marketed doctors.
That's such a good point. And that if you're a physician, clinician, this is where taking that step back and really looking at how are you presenting yourself? What are your goals is extremely important. So, well, where do you see healthcare in the next 5 years?
Well, I hope after the COVID fiasco where we lost a lot of trust in the medical community, I hope it comes down to a point that people do take responsibility for their own health care. I also hope that we can get the poisons out of food and drugs, so that we can know that we're ingesting the best possible ingredients. That's why I live on a farm. My wife's a flower farmer, and we grow a lot of our own food, and we grow food for 6 or 7 families. I know where every bit of that food comes from. I know we don't use pesticides on the food, and it really helps.
Yeah, small things can make a huge difference in your life. Well, if people are interested in learning more about you, checking out Top Doctor Magazine, where should they go?
Go to www.topdoctormagazine.com. Nominate your doctor for Doctor of the Year award. It's very important, and that they get recognition, because it's a hard life being a doctor. It's hard having that pressure on you that you have to save lives every day.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, this has been an incredible conversation. I appreciate your time so much. Thank you for coming on Behind the Practice with me today.
Yeah, and thanks for having me. And don't forget, Top Doctor TV channel comes out in a month. We're real excited.
Behind the Practice is produced by Next Step Social and Podcasting and hosted by Katie Brinkley and Sean Quintero. A special thank you to our guests today. This episode was recorded live at the Boston BioLife Functional Longevity Summit. A special thank you to the team that helped make this podcast happen.